In this Argentinian Spanish lesson, I will teach you payment method or payments and money vocabulary in Argentinian Spanish. So, if you are ready, arrancamos, che. Firstly, I would like to start with plata. We don't say dinero here in Argentina. Nobody says dinero. That's too Mexican. That's too Spanish from Spain. So here in Argentina, we say plata. In other versions, there are many different versions to talk about plata in Argentina, to talk about money. But here, I would like to tell you the most common one, which is guita. Guita is Argentinian slang, and basically it means money. But you have to know that Argentinian people have lots of different words for money, so it's not the only word you will hear that means money. So stop saying dinero, start saying plata, which is the common way, or guita, which is slang and more informal. Now, before going with the payment methods and the different money vocabulary, you have to know the different ways to ask somebody for the bill. First of all, I would like to start with the word bill, which is cuenta in Argentine Spanish, and generally in Spanish is also cuenta, the bill, la cuenta. Then we have the recibo, which is the receipt, and the last one is la factura, which is the invoice, okay? Invoice, factura. One interesting thing, factura also means bakery in Argentina. So once you're in Argentina, you will hear these two words a lot. Factura, bakery, we love all this bakery in Argentina, we love facturas, and factura referring to the invoice. So it could have been a bit confusing if you didn't know it. Now, how can you say, can you give me the bill? Well, here you have two options. And this is the most native way to ask somebody for this bill. We say, te pido la cuenta, meaning, can you give me the bill? Remember, you can replace la cuenta for invoice, factura, or recibo. We can translate te pido as can you give me, but it actually means do I ask you for the bill? That's the way we say it. That's the most common way to say it. Or you could just say me das la cuenta, me das la factura, me das el recibo, which literally means do you give me the bill or can you give me the bill in other words. You can also just say ¿podés darme la cuenta? ¿Podés darme la cuenta? Remember, we don't say tú puedes. We don't say it like that. We don't say tú puedes darme la cuenta. No, it sounds weird. In Argentina, we use vos, so you will say ¿podés darme la cuenta? Now, the different payment methods. Payment method is métodos de pago. And here we have efectivo, which is cash, efectivo. So you can say ¿aceptas efectivo? Do you accept cash? You can also say tarjeta de crédito, which is credit card or debit card, tarjeta. This is a card, tarjeta. And maybe if you're a new resident or if you will be a new resident, you can also use transferencia bancaria, bank transfer. Or the most common way right now in Argentina is using a QR. But only one thing. In Argentina, we don't say QR. We say QR, QR. Now, here's some useful phrases in Argentinian and Spanish, all the ones we use here. For example, ¿qué métodos de pago aceptas? It means, what payment methods do you accept? For example, or you can also just say, ¿aceptas? Blah, blah, blah. Do you accept this? So you can say, ¿aceptas? For example, here, ¿aceptas efectivo? ¿Aceptas tarjeta de crédito o débito? ¿Aceptas transferencia bancaria? ¿Aceptas QR? Do you accept? Blah, blah, blah. Then once they say, yes, we accept this, you would say how much for, or what's the total of this. So you would say, ¿cuánto es? How much it is, right? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much is the same, or how much it costs? Or ¿cuánto sale? Which is exactly the same. How much, or how much it costs. So for example, you can say, ¿cuánto cuesta el teléfono? How much for the phone, or how much the telephone costs. ¿Cuánto sale el teléfono? Which is how much it costs, or how much costs the phone. It's exactly the same. And then the other person will say, son 1,000 pesos, for example. It's 1,000 pesos. Remember that in Argentina, we don't use dollars. I mean, we certainly do use it, but the common currency is the peso, okay? So remember one thing, 1,000 pesos is about $1 or $1.50 or something like that, okay? Right now in 2025, it is almost $1. So in Spanish and in Argentina specific, we say they are 1,000 pesos. In English, you would say it is 1,000 pesos. But here we say they are. Then the other way is, so the other person can say, bueno, cuesta 2,000 pesos, meaning it costs 2,000 pesos, or it's 2,000 pesos. And the last one is exactly the same, sale 3,000 pesos or 3,000 pesos, which is like $3. Now, a very, very important one. I would like to talk about Mercado Pago, which is the Argentinian PayPal, but with pesos. And it is super common, and the reason I'm talking about this right now is because you will see it everywhere in every single day. In a store, in a restaurant, or in a kiosco. It's everywhere in all of these different windows. So you may be wondering like, what the hell is this? And why Argentinian people use this a lot and it's everywhere and I see it in every single place I go? Well, it is basically the Argentinian PayPal, as I told you, and it is super useful for Argentinian people because we don't have to have cash and just pay with Mercado Pago and with pesos. And the reason I'm talking about this is because you will see it everywhere, and there's something super important you must know. And I'm talking about the alias. The alias is basically a nickname for your bank account, or the human readable account alias. So you have a bank number, right? Have a nickname for your bank account, and that's called alias, and it's extremely common in Argentina, and you will see it in every restaurant, in every store, in every kiosk you go. You will see it everywhere, and everyone has an alias for in their bank account. So you can ask somebody for their alias and then you can send money to them. But remember, this is specifically for people that already has a ID or has a residency here in Argentina, is living in Argentina. If you will be a new resident, this is extremely useful for you because you will see it everywhere. And one more thing, we have CBU and CBU, which is exactly the same, but it is the bank number, and there's a little difference between this B, which is called B corta, and the V larga, okay? B larga. So basically the bank number of the first is from a fintech, and the second is from an official bank, a traditional bank. And if you have to pay somebody in Argentina with your own pesos, you can say, ¿Cuál es tu alias? What is your alias? Now, here's the problem. In Argentina, we are super casual people. We love to be informal people. So we are informal and very casual everywhere, every single day, all the time. That's why although you know all of these different words, they are not super useful because we use a lot of slang. And here we start with some slang related to money. When would you use this slang? The following thing I'm gonna show you right now, you would use it with amigos, familia, o conocidos. Friends, family or acquaintances, people you know. And also in some kioscos, restaurantes o locales. Kiosco is little store we have in Argentina, only Argentina, restaurante, restaurants, and locales, don't confuse it with locals, it means stores of something in specific, like locales de micrófono, a store of microphone, locales de teléfono, stores of phones, etc. Now, for the second case of kiosco, restaurantes, and locales, it all depends on the person that you're talking to in these places. We are not always informal in all contexts, but some people is. So you have to know this slang I'm gonna teach you right now. And you will hear this question every single day because all Argentinian people, as I said, use Mercado Pago or any other bank with pesos, and the alias is super common. Here, money slang in Argentina. First, we have mango, luca, and palo. Mango, it refers to 1 peso, like 1 peso to 999 pesos. So if you're talking a specific amount of money, which is between 1 peso and 999 pesos, you can use mango. For example, 50 mangos, 50 pesos. 100 mangos, 100 pesos. 500 mangos, 500 pesos. Then we continue. Luca. Luca is 1,000 pesos. Okay, so if you say una luca, 1,000. Dos lucas, 2,000 pesos. Tres lucas, 3,000 pesos. And 100 lucas would be 100,000 pesos, which is basically $100. And the last one is palo, and palo is 1 million. Remember that it seems to be, oh my god, Argentinian people have a lot of money. They even have a specific terminology for 1 million pesos. No, in Argentina, 1 million pesos is about $1,000. So it is not a lot of money. And one thing you have to know is that in Argentina, we don't use the comma when we are talking about 1,000, okay? 1,000 pesos or $1,000. So as for example, here, un peso con 50. Un peso con 50, it means 1 peso and 50 cents because the comma is always for cents. And then on the following, which is a dot, is 1.000, it means 1,000, right? 1,000 pesos or $1,000, let's say. And in English, you will write 1,000 with a comma. But in Argentina, we write 1,000 with a dot. So this is extremely important to know because you can confuse prices. And one more thing you have to know, it is that this symbol, the dollar symbol, is exactly the same for pesos. We use exactly the same symbol. So don't confuse pesos with dollar. And if you don't know what the person is using or what the person wants you to pay with, you can say, ¿Es peso o dólar? Okay, that's the best way. And if you are, for example, looking something in Mercado Libre, If they are using dollars or peso, you can know it with these two different symbols, okay? USD or USD. You will see it at the end of the price, at the end of the numbers. And if in Mercado Libre or if in the app you're using or somebody who you are talking to are not using this in the price, it means that it is not dollars, it is probably just pesos. So it is a very important tip you have to know. Now for invoicing, we have something very important here, and it's to remember that invoice is factura, okay? Don't forget it. And then we have la firma, which is the signature. And when you have to sign a form or you have to sign the invoice, here you have something to know that's very important because you will see it everywhere in all different forms. So we got here nombre, name, Nicolás, apellido, surname, Miño, and then we got something which is quite different. We got domicilio and dirección. Both mean address. And dirección can also be directions, okay? So domicilio is more for like a house. You would not say el domicilio en el restaurante, like the address of a restaurant, because domicilio is more like for somebody's house, okay? And then dirección is address for anything, like your house or restaurant address, okay? So for example, mi dirección o domicilio es Palermo 330, digamos, let's say. And then we have the DNI. DNI is the Argentinian ID. Okay, you probably don't have it, or if you're a new resident here, you certainly have it. So if somebody's asking for your DNA, you know they are talking about the ID, and you would use your passport in your case if you're a traveler here. And passport is pasaporte. Now here we have two words that are important if you're a new resident or if you don't know it because you're traveling and you see it this everywhere. I'm talking about the quill and the quit. These are two very specific words that are related to the tax ID of each person in Argentina. You can translate this in English as the SSN or Social Security number for quill, and quit would be the employer identification number. So if you see this in a form, you know they are talking about this in specific. Now, although you have this knowledge, nothing changes in your life because you cannot use any of this in everyday conversation. Because once you go to a store, a restaurant, a hotel, a business, guess what happened? What's next? What do you think it will be? You will have a blank mind. Why? Because a language is a skill. A language is not like history. A language is not like reading novels and knowing them what's about. No, not at all. A language is a skill. It's just exactly as going to the gym and working your muscles. If you want to lift 100 kilos or speak Argentinian Spanish and be able to travel around Argentina and have fluency, you will have to practice a lot your Spanish. You will have to gain muscles and work a lot on your body and on your mind if you're learning Argentinian Spanish. Now, if you want to travel to Argentina or become a new resident, you must learn Argentinian Spanish if you want to travel or live here in my country. And let me tell you that I can help you with that. I have 3 different programs and how I can help you with your specific goal or something you want in specific in Argentina. The first program I have is the survival program, which in 30 days you reach the survival level. Which means you can survive, you can communicate in a very basic way, and you can buy things, you can get around the city, you don't get lost, and you know how to act in emergencies. Basically, you will learn Argentinian Spanish in record time to survive in Argentina. And you can achieve this in just 30 days, working with me every single day, and have an amazing change in your life. The second program is in 4 months, you will reach the traveler level, which means you are fully prepared to travel in any context, which means you will be fully prepared to speak Argentinian Spanish in any trip, okay? You will not have problems, you can book hotels and rentals, you can communicate in a basic way, but much better than in the previous program. You can buy things, you can get around the city, you don't get lost, you don't get ripped off, you know how to act in emergencies, you don't depend on anyone. So if what you want the most is to be able to travel around Argentina and be a traveler in Argentina, this is what you're looking for in specific. And last one, if you would like to be a new resident in Argentina, in only 8 months you reach fluency with my program in Spanish and you can perfectly live in Argentina. All the details of this program in specific, if you're looking for this, if you want to be a new resident in Argentina, are in the description. You will learn everything about this program. It takes 8 months of intensive work with me and it's one-on-one. After those 8 months, you will be fully prepared to start living here and change the rest of your life. So if you want to know more, in the description you have my webpage, there you can contact me, or you also have my Gmail. So tell me what you think of this video, and I hope you have enjoyed it and you find it useful. Muchas gracias por ver y nos vemos en otro video. Chao, chao.